People ask what it is like to be posted on the human side of the cordon. I tell them it is quiet. What I do not say is that the quiet has texture. That there are kinds of silence out here a person learns to read the way a navigator reads a tide. And that, after 18 months on station Veth, I had cataloged at least 4 of them, and none meant nothing. The cordon is not a wall. There is no physical structure, no buoys, no chain of satellites, no minefield. Nothing a sensor array could lock onto and call a boundary. What there is an understanding. The veth-amouri compact drew a margin in their star charts 300 years before I was born, and whatever calculation sat behind that decision was never formally transmitted to Earth. What Earth received instead was a behavior. Ships stopped coming. Ships that had ranged freely through the sectors adjacent to Sol began over a single generation to route around us. Then around the sector to us, the margin grew outward over decades, not by treaty, not by declaration, by consensus. A slow unanimous agreement of roughly 400 catalogued civilizations that there was a line, and it was wise to stay behind it. My job, officially, was signals monitoring. I sat at a post on the inner edge of that margin and watched the traffic on the other side of it. I filed reports. I transmitted greetings on the standard compact frequencies. Occasionally, less than once a month on average, something transmitted back. What nobody in the assignment brief mentioned. And what I learned inside the first week was that I was not just monitoring signals. I was watching how the civilizations of this galaxy behaved when they thought they were far enough from human observation to behave naturally. And what they did, naturally, was slow down when they passed the margin, the way any traveler slows near the edge of something they are afraid to name. I am not speaking metaphorically. I logged it. Vessel deceleration profiles, approach angles, sensor sweep patterns. There is a way a ship moves when it is curious, and a way a ship moves when it is reverent, and those are not the same way. What I saw on vessel after vessel was the second one, not curiosity. Not the measured, tactical caution of a species that expected a fight. Something older. The posture of a species that has already settled something in its own mind and no longer has questions. Only the residue of whatever the answer was. The veth-amouri were the oldest civilization in the Compact's records. Their catalog designation gave them a confirmed unbroken civilization span of somewhere between 60 and 90,000 years. With the uncertainty stemming from the fact that even the Compact's most senior archivists could not read the earliest stratum of veth-amouri records with full confidence, 60 to 90,000 years. For context, anatomically modern humans are somewhere around 300,000 years old and have had anything resembling organized civilization for perhaps 12,000. The veth-amouri had been building, remembering and forgetting and rebuilding again before our genus existed. They do not travel often. Their fleet movements, when they occur, are events, logged and studied by every monitoring post in the outer compact the way an astronomer logs a comet with the same mixture of precision and held breath. So when the long-range sweeps at Veth picked up a veth-amouri formation on a heading that would bring it within 4 light days of the human cordon, I flagged it immediately and set every passive array we had to record. There were 9 of their vessels. Vessels, because I lack a better word. They were not ships in any configuration I had seen in the compact catalog, and the catalog is extensive. They moved in a triangular spread, the lead vessel slightly ahead of the others, and they moved slowly, far below any speed that suggested transit. They were not going somewhere. They were, as best I could interpret the formation, present, deliberately, intentionally present, the way you stand at a grave. I transmitted a standard greeting on all compact registered frequencies. Our station designation, species identifier, our compact observer code. Protocol required it, and I wanted to know what they would do. For 6 hours, nothing. Formation held. Their approach angle held. Their deceleration profile held. No response on any frequency. Then the lead vessel turned. Not away, not toward us, but in a slow arc that brought it parallel to the cordon margin, as though it were reading a line drawn in the dark. And it transmitted, not to me, not on any compact frequency. The transmission was narrow beam, aimed inward, aimed at the sector the margin enclosed. I caught the edge of it on our longest range passive array only because of the angle, and what I caught was not language. It was not a signal format I had encountered, or that our database could parse. It was, and I have turned this word over for 3 years without finding a better one. A gesture. The way you incline your head towards something very old, and very still, and very present. An acknowledgement without an address, formality directed at something that may or may not be listening. Then they turned, reformed their spread, and left on a heading that took them back the way they had come. I filed a full report, sense logs, transmission recordings, approach and departure vectors, the whole record. I flagged it priority and submitted it to the Earth Monitoring Directorate, the Compact Liaison Office, and the Signals Analysis Team at the veth-amouri Institute. 3 weeks later, I received a one-line acknowledgement from the Directorate. The report had been received and logged. No further correspondence would follow at this time. I waited 6 months. Then I transmitted, through proper channels, a formal inquiry to the Compact Liaison Office, asking whether any prior record existed of veth-amouri vessels approaching the human margin, and if so, whether the behavior I had observed was consistent with prior observations. The Liaison Office replied in 4 days, which is fast for them. The reply was courteous and precisely worded. They confirmed that veth-amouri vessels had been observed near the human margin on 17 documented occasions over the past 2,000 years, and that on each occasion behavior consistent with my report had been noted. They could not speak to the meaning of that behavior, as no veth-amouri diplomatic contact in the relevant period had addressed the subject. They wished me well in my ongoing posting. I read that reply perhaps a dozen times over the following weeks, each time trying to locate the door I felt was in it, the hinge I could push on to open something larger. 17 occasions, 2,000 years. The veth-amouri came to the edge of our space to do. They had been doing it longer than most human civilizations have existed. And in 2,000 years of compact diplomatic contact, they had not once mentioned it. I thought about that for a long time. I am still thinking about it. There is a thing I have come to understand about being posted on the inside of the cordon. The rest of the galaxy looks at human space and sees a forbidden zone, a region the Compact's charts mark with a blank, and the Elder warnings mark, silence. What they are afraid of, most of them, is us, our history, the events the sealed records reference and do not detail, our capacity for a kind of sustained, patient, absolute violence that civilizations who have never known existential war find genuinely incomprehensible. But the veth-amouri are 60,000 years old. They have seen species rise and devastate and be devastated. They have no reason to find violence incomprehensible. They have reason to find very little incomprehensible at all, and yet they come to the edge of our space, and they do not look at us. They look past us. They transmit inward, toward whatever is deeper in the sector than a monitoring station on the margin. And they have been doing this for 2,000 years, without once explaining why. In a civilization span of 60,000 years that has apparently given them the patience to wait for anything, I filed one final inquiry before my posting ended, addressed directly to the veth-amouri diplomatic channel, a low-priority band the Compact Liaison Office keeps open for formal interspecies correspondence. I asked, as plainly as the standard Compact formal register allowed, whether they would be willing to say what they were observing when they approached the human margin. Channel sat open for 2 months before posting rotation came. No reply arrived. I packed my logs, transferred the station records to my replacement, and shipped out on the Directorate courier. I was never asked about that final inquiry by anyone in the Directorate, the Liaison Office, or the Institute. Either no one followed up, someone did, and decided the non-reply was answer enough to file and not discuss. I do not know which one it is. I have decided that I am comfortable not knowing. What I know is this. The eldest civilization the galaxy has catalogued comes to the edge of our art, space and silence, looks past us at something we cannot see from our own side, inclines itself toward it in a gesture I cannot name, unit, and has done so for than our recorded history. They have never called it anything. They have never explained it. They let the legend stand, not our legend, which is the story of what we did to those who came for us, but a different one. The one beneath it. The one they seem to have known about for a very long time. I do not ask about it anymore. Out here, on the inside of the cordon, looking at the galaxy, looking away, That seems like the right approach.